That Sober Guy podcast contains adult content, merciless truth, and emotional nudity. Listener discretion is advised.
Yo, what's up? Thank you for tuning in today. Thanks to Humans for bringing us in. Thanks to you for supporting the show. Man, if you haven't checked out Humans' music, please do so. This jam is called Still About You. It's one of my favorites. I'm Shane Raymer. You're listening to That Sober Guy podcast, where we talk about drugs, alcohol, recovery, and more fun shit. We also like to think we help some people stay sober. And I know in the 5 years, or almost 5 years, I think, that we've been doing this, it's helped to keep me sober. So at least we know it's doing its job. Now today, we're playing back the live show we did a couple of weeks ago at the Hollywood Improv. So we're going to hear from four different guests that we had on the show. And first of all, I want to give a huge thank you to Mark Serritella for helping to put the show together, as well as Joe Sinclitico, who was one of the guests. And I want to thank all of our guests, John Henson, Darren Prince, Amy Dresner, Joe Sinclitico, and a big thanks to Matt Gallagher for stepping in last minute to open the show up for us. We really appreciate that. Man, we had a really, really good time, and Jess and I got to hang out. We did a quick recap last week of our trip down there. We talked a little bit about kind of how that went, and obviously some other things. Jess burning down, or allegedly burning down the kitchen. So go back and check that one out if you haven't done so. And also a big thanks to the Improv. The staff there was great when we showed up. Rick, the sound guy, said last week, man, he was awesome. I hooked him up with a TSG beanie, and he was rocking it right off the bat. So much love to him, and thank you there. And then, of course, I want to thank my beautiful wife, the Jess, for all her support. We rolled down together and handled some podcasting duties. And, man, we really had a good time. And all of our guests were awesome, all just solid-ass people. We got to hang out a little bit before and talk a little bit, and I just appreciate everyone contributing and coming out. So I hope you guys, well, I don't hope, I know you guys are going to enjoy this show, because there's some funny comedy in there, and there's also some real shit that we talk about that revolves around recovery, obviously. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we do that, be sure to check us out at thatsoberguy.com. You can also connect with us on Instagram at RealThatSoberGuy and on Twitter at Shane Raymer. Now, finding the right treatment for addiction and mental health illnesses can be tough. And that's why Sober Guy has continued to partner with Foundation's Recovery Network. Foundation stays true to their mission, holds high ethical standards while providing treatment in their nationwide network of residential and outpatient programs. They have individualized treatment plans, and they're focused on creating lifetime relationships for long-term recovery. And Foundations really is great people. I say this every time, but I mean it. I don't say it just to say it. We get an opportunity, like we'll be down there in April at the Innovations in Recovery Conference in Coronado at Hotel del Coronado. That's April, the week of the 16th, I think, is the first day of the conference. So we go down there, we hang out, we do some live podcasting, we get to hang out with a lot of people and have some fun, and also talk about recovery. If you want to learn more about getting some help for you or a loved one, go to foundationshelp.com/soberguy, or you can call 833-81-SOBER. That's 833-81-SOBER. And you can talk with an admissions coordinator about treatment options. All right, so Sober Guy, we have some hats and beanies. TSG, they got the X on them for the no drugs, no alcohol. Symbolism, trying to stay sober, trying to live a positive, healthy lifestyle. And so, hey, we thought, let's get some hats and some beanies made up. So you can go check those out at thatsoberguy.com. I think it's the hats tab. We have a merch tab and a hats tab. You can get some hoodies and sweatshirts on there too. Help support us, grab some gear, and rock your recovery proud with some TSG gear. Last thing before we get to the show today too. Now, I get a lot of questions about early sobriety. What do I do? Where do I go? What don't I do? Here's the thing. Said it before, I'll say it again. I don't have all the answers. I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time. In fact, I don't know my head from a hole in the ground half the time, or my head from my ass half the time. Hey, it's a process. We're all going through it, and we're going through it together. Don't do it alone. That's number one. Number 2, I know for me in my first 90 days, I was really confused. Got home from rehab, didn't know who the hell this new dude was supposed to be. Am I this worker guy now? New dad still, husband? I can't drink about it anymore, so what am I going to do? Man, it was a confusing time. So here's what I did. I got so many of these questions and went back and looked at the podcast episodes. We had talked a little bit about this before, and it really seemed like there was a need for some info on how to navigate the first 90 days of sobriety. So what I did, I got together some of my closest friends and colleagues, and we talked about it. We talked about the first 90 days, and we put together a podcast digital course. You can get the course right now for $25 using the promo code HALF-OFF at checkout. And you can do that by going to thatsoberguy.com and clicking on courses. Now, real quick, we give this course away for free to all veterans. We love our veterans. We appreciate your service. Man, we want to support you and active duty at that as well, all we can. And if you or a loved one who's a veteran is struggling with some alcoholism, some addiction issues, we want to help out as much as we can, and we'd like to offer the course up to you for free. So if you hit us up on Instagram at @RealThatSoberGuy, just shoot us a message and give us a little details. You're a veteran. You're looking for the 90-day sobriety course, and we'll chat a little bit, and then I'll hook you up with a promo code so you can get that. And one more time, you go to thatsoberguy.com, click on courses, and you can get that information there. All right. So I think that brings us up right to this. This is a bit of, I think this set that we did was almost 2 hours long. So, feel free to cut it up. I know sometimes all of us have busy days. So we got to, like, I know for me, I listen to podcasts sometimes in increments. I'll listen to half one day and half the next day or whatever you got to do, but don't miss all the guests on this, man. We had a really good time. It's live, so it's great. We took some live questions, and we really did have a good time. Once again, thanks to all the guests. Thanks to the Hollywood Improv for having us out. And we're hoping to be back down in that area doing some live shows within the next couple of months. So here we go. Here is That Sober Guy podcast live from the Hollywood Improv.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hollywood Improv Lab. Make some noise. You guys in the right place for comedy. Thanks for coming out to this show. Welcome. We've got Craig at the bar serving drinks. If you were under a rock a second ago, just head up there if you need anything. There's no cocktail service, as I understand. So just you can get up at any point in time during the show and check in with Craig if you need anything. We got a full restaurant, full bar. Sounds and cell phones, no talking during the show. We don't need extra noises or anything. Please, no flash photography or videotaping. And let's sit back and enjoy the show. Without further ado, let's bring up our opener for the evening. Put your hands together for Mr. Matt Gallagher.
Hey, is this on? Is it on? Is it working? It's not. Really? You can hear me? Oh, I don't know. I got a wristband on. That's usually a sign of good things to come. Welcome to the Sober Guy podcast show. Everybody's feeling good? Happy? Yeah? Anybody go to the march last night or yesterday? Oh, never mind. Way to support, ladies. Good job. Good work. Really good. My wife and daughter went. They have to go. Whatever. I installed a stove and a refrigerator because that's what I do. But they went. My son, Beowulf, he was with a babysitter. I was drinking at the time. That's his name. That's a drinking name decision. You name your son Beowulf. Yeah, I got 5 years sober. My son's 5 years, 2 months. Yeah. I mean, that's good. We call him Beo. He's a good kid. 5 and 8 years old, my kids. Kids are getting big. Not my kids, everyone else's. Right? Have you seen kids? Anybody? Yeah. Do yourself a favor. Go to a fall festival open bounce house. It's like a pig abattoir in there. Bunch of 200-pound sacks of shit flopping around. It's seriously, I walked in there, I'm like, holy shit. And I had my kids, I'm like, get in there. This is the new world we live in. You know what I mean? Get in. And I get it. If you're a 200-pound kid, you've never felt weightless before. Bouncing in the back. That's like magic. Do you see any kids skipping down the street anymore? No, their little legs will snap like factory chickens. Oh, my God. My kids were in there for 10 minutes. I'm like, get out. I don't have dental. I was just too scared. How many people here have kids? 2? Okay. Everybody else, come on, get on board. Let's go. Get kids. Here's some advice. There's going to come a time when you have to volunteer to work at school, and it'll be the Halloween pageant. Do yourself a favor. Let the kids tell you what their costume is. Don't guess. I'm calling kids out. This kid comes out. I'm like, look at this little guy, Friar Tuck. He's like, I'm a Jedi. Okay. Never saw a morbidly obese Jedi, but whatever. Go ahead. Happy on. Then the next girl comes out. I'm like, ooh, look, it's a bear. She's like, I'm a kitty. And her mom gets pissed at me. She's like, didn't you see her tail behind her? I'm like, I didn't even see you behind her. Yeah, the last kid I got, like an easy one. A kid comes out in a little cowboy outfit. I'm like, hey, he's a tough cowboy. Little snotty shit. He goes, I'm Woody from Toy Story. You seen it? Like, yeah, I saw it. You look more like Hoss from Bonanza. Holy shit. Go on there, though. Don't break the stage. What? Listen, 40% of kids in this country are morbidly obese by the age of 10. Try getting on a plane in 15 years. I'm taking the train, everybody. But I try and do my part. I got kids. I have to feed them right. They go to school in West Hollywood, so I can't give them fast food. If you bring fast food to a school in Hollywood, you might as well just punch your kids in the face. Parents will look at you like you're nuts, right? I've seen parents go like, is this McDonald's? Like there was a bullet casing on the ground. Is this McDonald's? Did someone bring McDonald's? Look at this. Someone brought McDonald's. So I go to like farmers markets now. You guys like farmers markets? Really? You don't think it's bullshit? At all? Listen, I grew up in New Jersey. I'm like looking for the angles. Like the honey lady, give me a break. She's everywhere. Like when she raising the bees, she's at every farmer's market I've ever been to. Same honey lady. She's giving you the spiel. She's like, this is sage honey, and this over here is wildflower honey. Like, how's that work? Train your bees to fly north to the sage and south to the wildflowers? She's like, taste it. You can taste the sage. I'm like, I don't want to taste sage. I want to taste honey. If I want to taste honey flavored, I'll get the bees that attack the quinceañera in Griffith Park. Right? How good would that honey taste? Horchata and Vaughn's cake? Ugh. No, that honey would be delicious. Seriously? Flavored honey? Did you guys hear about that quinceañera? They got attacked. Oh, it was sad. Yeah, 16-year-old swarm of bees came down. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, but the egg lady, the lady who sells the eggs. Have you ever met people who raise chickens? Hey, you guys got to get out of the fucking city. Go to a farm or something. Listen, if you meet people who raise chickens, they act like chickens. They're twitchy as shit. It's like somebody doing their first hit of meth. They're like, chicken pie, hey. They talk about chickens all the time. They explain. It's like, Betsy, speckled eggs, cock of the walk. Like, just bananas. The lady who does the eggs over here on Fountain, calm as shit. And I know what she's doing. She's going to Ralph's. She's buying 5 dozen brown eggs, 1 dozen white eggs. She mixes them all up. She's like, they're wild cage-free eggs, right? So I like challenge her on it. I'm like, you raise these eggs yourself? Because usually there's like stuff on them. These look really clean. She's like, yeah, I raised them myself. They're like perfectly all natural. You gonna eat them all today? I'm like, yeah, I'm fighting Apollo Creed in the morning, asshole. Do you really raise chickens? Because I'm looking at her hands now, and people who raise chickens have fucked up hands. Because like they're reaching around stealing eggs all day. They got one grab hand that's a little messed up, and then the grab hand looks like they got shot with buckshot. This girl's hands, she could be a hand model. So now I'm figuring she's like an out-of-work yoga model, just selling eggs, doing some bullshit. And then I start thinking, how come I've never had a turkey egg? Anybody? Anybody here had a turkey egg? Right? That's rich people food. That's what the Rothschilds are eating. Or the Trumps. You get can you imagine getting a turkey egg omelet? I'd pay a fortune for that. Like auction off my thing. If I had 1 turkey egg, I could make like 3 dozen buttermilk pancakes for my kids. I'd be a hero. But I'm like, good. I got 2 kids. I'm growing old gracefully, which isn't popular in L.A. Is everybody here from L.A.? Yeah, right? Just let it go. Let it go. Just grow old. No, stop it. I get emails now. I'm in my 40s. They're like, increase your sex drive. Increase your sex drive. I'm like, why? When did that ever do me any good? When did sex drive ever do me anything but fuck it up? Like, I'm out of work. I gotta go. But it's ladies' night. I got a wristband. Make every bad decision. The guys, that girl's boyfriend's in the bathroom. I'm gonna go talk to her right now. Plus, I'm married to a woman who's in her 40s, so like if I take something to increase my sex drive, I'm just jerking off alone all the time. Like, it's a documentary about porn. I don't do anything sexually that's over creative now either. That's another thing. I've given that up. I'm growing old and mature. No positions. What? Missionary position in a nap. I'll look into your eyes. I'll connect with your soul. Old school. And then I'm done. But I'm scared of having another baby. There's always a chance we could have one more. I just got out of diapers. You know what I'm saying? 5 and 8. Like, I can't start over again. So if she doesn't get her birth control pills, I'm like a 17-year-old. You know what I mean? I'm like so scared of getting someone pregnant. I pull out, back out, come in a napkin and light it on fire. It's like Cirque du Soleil when I come. No babies. All right. Well, anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys are having a good time. Loosen up a little bit. You ready for a great show? I'm so excited to be here. This is like awesome. I've talked to this guy a few times. I've listened to his podcast. I'm sure you all know about it. I'm really excited. Please welcome Shane Raymer, the sober guy.
What's up, party people? How we doing? I want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. It means a lot to me. It's a good time to get out and talk about recovery and have some fun, show that we can have a good time and all that. So first things first, my name is Shane Raymer. I'm the creator and host of That Sober Guy podcast, and we help people stay sober. That's what we do. And by helping other people stay sober, I myself stay sober, and that's really why I started the podcast back in 2014. I've been clean and sober since, September 11th, 2013. So a little over 5 years now. Oh, thank you. I find it weird just like clapping for, and I appreciate it, but it's like he doesn't do drugs anymore. Thank you very much. All right. Pretty awesome, right? Let me tell you a little bit about me real quick. I love backpacking. I love my family. I love my wife. My wife's back here. You probably can't see her back there. What's up, the Jess? How are you? Thank you. She's put up with a lot of shit over the years, so really appreciate her support. We have 2 kids, Cockblocker 1 and Cockblocker 2. It's a little difficult these days, as if I don't have enough already being sober. I'm in my late 30s now, and then throw in trying to have sex with a leg cramp and 2 kids pounding on the door. It's a little bit difficult, so we're having some fun out tonight in Hollywood, and we get to get out of town for a couple days and do some podcasting. Now, we have some great guests tonight. We're going to bring them up in just a minute. I just want to say a couple things before we get started. The recovery movement is insane right now. And there's definitely been a movement for a long time. And those of you who are in recovery or who know somebody in recovery, I think that's a good point too. I can't count how many times, whether it's in the corporate world, the grocery store, picking my kids up from school, wherever it is, if it comes up, it's somebody who struggles with it. Oh, it's my brother or my dad, my sister. It's a very, very close connection to people. And what things like this is a little piece, what we're doing tonight, of what's going on a larger scale across the United States, across the world, is people opening up and talking about recovery, getting it out there, shining some light on it, making it so it's not something that's so stigmatized, because everybody's affected by it. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things when we talk about a country that is so divided right now. Now, recovery, it tears a lot of people apart. It breaks families apart. People, unfortunately, die from it. That's the reality of it. But at the same time, it brings people together. Like, I'm in a step study group with 12 other dudes, and I'd probably hang out with one of them on the outside just because we're all so different. But you get us together, man, we're like brothers in that. And it's so, so solid, and it's such a beautiful thing. And I just want to tell you, this is going to be a special night, and we're a small crowd, but we're a powerful crowd. We're going to sit back. We're going to share some stories. We're going to talk some comedy, and we're going to shine some light on addiction recovery tonight. So you guys good with that? All right, so let's bring up our first guest, Mr. Joe Sinclitico. What's up, Joe?
Oh, cool, dude. I'm such a sober douche. I have my sugar-free Red Bull, my vape.
What's up with the vape, man?
Fucking perfect.
I see a lot of people with the vape.
Sober, bro.
So it's going good, man. I appreciate you coming out tonight and helping put this thing together too, man.
Yeah, I'm here a lot. It's funny because I appreciate what you said, but I think it's like the first time I've ever seen somebody be earnest on this stage.
I thought about that before. I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just
no. It was great. It was like I was watching. I was like, God, maybe I should actually like be honest on stage. It's kind of working.
So
yeah.
I saw one of the things that I wanted to read your bio. Actually, is it okay if I do that?
Oh, sure, dude.
It's so great. So
it's my bio. Oh, from my website.
Is that cool?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's really
great.
weird.
At least the first line, yeah. Joe Sinclitico was born from the cybernetic uterus of a wealthy Mongolian investor in the sleepy beach town of La Jolla, California.
Yeah, there you go.
How's that?
I know. Well, because every comedian has these bios, and it's just
all
like,
serious.
Who fucking cares, right? Like, why is it? It's like their time to write something that they think is like honoring themselves. It's the weirdest thing. So I just, I had to write something weird.
And have a little fun with it, right?
And have a little fun with it. Yeah, exactly.
So you've been sober over 20 years, is that right?
I've been sober since 9/11 happened right when I was I remember I had just gotten sober when 9/11 happened because I was asleep in my sober living place, and my roommate ran and he goes, "They just fucking blew up New York! A nuclear bomb just blew up in New York!" I was like, "Fuck, dude!" And then I remember having this thought where I was like, "We're gonna fucking relapse! There's no fucking way I'm staying sober through the apocalypse! What am I gonna fucking sword fight to a meeting? We're fucking drinking." I was
That would be the worst.
I was like ready to rob a pharmacy. Like I was just, it was gone.
So was that following that was the balcony story?
Oh no. So that I was sober than that. Yeah. So like one of the last times, like right before I got sober, I was in college, and I got super fucked up, and I was like at my friend's house. And he's a guitar player. He's in a band called Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. He's like he's a right, you know, yeah. He's like a rock star now, but at the time he was just like a dude in college, and he was my buddy, and we were getting drunk, and he was he's just like a shredding guitar, and he was playing super loud, and his balcony overlooked this headquarters for Vans, the shoe company, right? It was their parking lot, and everybody would come out there and smoke, and I was on the balcony in my underwear. I was just in my underwear hanging out, and he was playing guitar, and I just started and they were like, "Woo!" Like they started being like, "Woo!" because I was in my underwear. So I started dancing, and he's shredding, and I'm dancing, and pretty soon I'm like naked dancing, and they're just like, "Yeah," and the fucking building's emptying out, and they're all just like cheering me on. And then at one point I it's Vans, so it's like all these like skater bros, and just they're probably high as fuck too. And I crawled over his balcony, so I'm like 4 floors up, and I'm like hanging like this, like naked over the balcony. I go back inside, and like maybe 10 minutes later, there's a knock on the door. I open the door. My friend looks outside. He sees it's the police. He's like, "Joe, stay there." I'm like, "No, bro. I got it, dude." Like just that drunk confidence where I'm like, "Dude, I can handle it, dude." And I walk out there, and they're like, "Can you come outside?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What's going on?" And they just immediately cuff me, and I'm in my underwear. And so they asked my friend, "Hey, can you go get some clothes?" And he didn't want to give me his clothes because he knew I was going to jail. So he gave me his girlfriend's clothes. So I had a running crop top, like those running shorts that like go halfway up your ass, and then like flip-flops that were like 6 sizes too small.
What a dick.
I know. And he took me, and they were super cool. The cops were super cool. They were like, "Dude, you know that like you could be like charged with like a sex crime. You might have to register like if these people."
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh, they're gonna charge me?" And he's like, "No, they said it was awesome, but they just thought you were gonna fucking die." And I was like, "I don't think it was me." And they're like, "We have digital photos." It was before everybody had had a phone.
So
So
were you doing comedy at this time?
Yeah, I started doing stand up when I was 16
In La Jolla, right?
in La Jolla, and so I had been doing stand up, but like it was fucking. I mean, it was like just a mess.
Yeah.
And not so much better now. But yeah, so I went to jail, but then I kept partying after that. Yeah, that wasn't enough.
What the guys think in jail of the cute shorts and the crop top?
Well, it's funny. I remember waking. I passed out in an empty cell, and I woke up, and I guess they had like busted. I mean, it's San Diego, so there were at the time it was less developed, so there would be like these fields where all these migrant workers would just camp out, and they had busted one of these fields, and they had put them all in the so I woke up, and there was like 50 migrant workers all standing around me, and my head was right next to the toilet, and I just remember one of them was taking shit like 2 feet from my head, and I was just like, oh my God, and I had the worst hangover.
Oh, that's terrible.
And yeah, but still, I kept partying.
So you can't. So then you continue. You already started doing comedy, but you continue doing comedy.
Right.
What's that like being sober and being a comedian? I know it's kind of a half
thing,
right?
I mean, it's weird. I think that I didn't gain much from ever like partying or drinking and stuff like that, but the one thing that it taught me was like I was never introverted, but I think it sort of showed me like, oh, you can be this life of the party type of guy
and not be fucked up.
And so I knew I could do it.
Yeah.
And so it was like just a matter of like figuring out how to do it sober, right? It wasn't the booze. It was like, oh, I knew intuitively like it was me. I just had to figure out doing it sober. So it was just a process of that, but it wasn't I don't know. I was young too when I was doing stand-up, so I was like super cocky. I was like, I'm the fucking best, dude. I'm so funny. Like it just never crossed my mind that I wouldn't be funny enough to do it. So
it's funny that you say that though. Like when we talk about trying to like find yourself, like because you create this identity around being high, being drunk or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I got to really search. Like, wait a minute, I can't use that anymore. Now I got to find out who I really am.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
not an easy thing to do.
And it was weird because I still really held on to it for a long time. I still tried to be that guy.
Yeah.
For a long time. It wasn't actually stand-up, I think, kind of provided me an outlet for like not being the annoying guy at the party that's always on, but not being annoying because you're supposed to be on when you're on the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I stopped doing it less and less, like in real life. Like I wasn't that guy. But yeah, I totally get it. I mean, it's just so. I mean, I feel like it took me like 2 years before my brain had even like gotten back to baseline, and I even
defrosted.
like could figure out the things that I liked and didn't like, and you know what I mean.
What is your? Are you pretty active in the recovery community, or what's your?
Yeah, I mean, I still go to meetings.
Yeah.
About 10 years ago, I started meditating, so I'm much more into meditation. I got really into that. That was like.
Do you ever just think the craziest shit meditating? Like sometimes it's like dropping, and I'm like, oh my God, you're thinking of like tractors and Garfield and just fucking the weirdest stuff. I'm like,
totally.
What the hell is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think all the craziest shit and all the weirdest shit, and sometimes you just But that's that's part of it, and
allowing yourself to do that, I guess.
Right? Yeah. And I think like all that type of stuff, anything that is making you have to kind of either. I'm a firm believer in that thing where it's like you're either like moving up the hill or you're slowly falling backwards. Yeah, yeah. There's no just like, okay, you're sober, you're good, you're here, you're happy. It's like you always have to keep chipping away because like there's new wounds coming in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It's like
this is not funny.
We're getting real serious, Joe.
I feel so weird.
That was so sensitive.
Funny.
That was so sensitive of you. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it was good though, for real.
You got it, man.
Yeah,
sensitive,
like,
bro.
Yeah. No, I know. I think
I'm trying to be honest up here.
I love it, bro, and that's that's really what it's about. I know I'm gonna cry too. Should we hug right now? Okay, I don't know. We'll hug.
We can hug later.
All right, we'll hug later. One take that I thought was interesting, dude, is and this has nothing to do with recovery, but your take on 90s hip hop versus today's hip hop.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's some of the and I heard that and I went, oh my god, like he finally somebody who thinks the same shit. Like,
yeah.
Tell us about it.
I have a joke. I mean, it's without like performing it. The joke is
I
basically
got you.
about how I only listen to like hip hop from the 90s because today like the dudes are such pussies compared to like Tupac and Biggie and Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
And it was like growing up, like that was the thing that fired me up.
Yeah.
Was these dudes were so hard, and I was like this white kid from the suburbs, and it was like inspiring. Like I'd be listening to them on my way to work and just be like, dude, fuck yeah, Tupac. Like when I get to work, dude, I'm gonna tell Tina from HR not to eat tuna in the fucking break room because it smells like a dead shark's pussy. You know, just getting fired up over nothing.
Oh my god.
Listening to Tupac.
Yep.
Yeah.
So good, dude.
Yeah,
So
it's
legit.
great. It's great. I mean, 90s hip hop is still the best. It's what I listen to in the gym.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well, I remember going to school in like
just
seventh
get you fired
grade.
up.
Yeah, had my shirt all buttoned up, the
Yeah.
flannel.
You look like a dude that
Dickies.
got in a lot of fucking fights. That's always weird when you see dudes like him in like AA. Like when I first started coming to AA meetings, I'm like, all these guys look like you're gonna fuck me up. Like they just had scars, and then they'd be like, "Hey man, how are you?
Yeah, hella nice.
Are you good? Call me. Here's my number." I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?"
I think that's a weird thing. Like because when you go into a meeting, there's a lot of guys when a newcomer comes in,
Yeah.
who's new in recovery. It's like, hey, here's my phone
Totally.
number. Give me a call. And I've
Yeah.
always thought it's like a fucking date or something.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. That's just weird to me.
Yeah, you're not.
But it's so good at the same time.
It's obvious that like as guys, we totally need to be like have our like girl time, but guy time. You know what I mean? And you don't get it, but you get, when you're in recovery, that's one of the great things is like you get to have that.
Yeah.
You know, where you're just broing down and just being like,
Yeah.
dude, tell me like what's going on with you and Sarah or whatever. You know, like I'm so good now at talking to my friends about their relationships.
Yeah.
That I would, if they would have said that when I was drinking, I'd be like, dude, I don't fucking care. Get the fuck out of here. Why are you telling
being
me?
such a pussy.
Yeah. Stop being such a pussy, dude. But
That's
now I'm
good,
like,
man.
be a pussy, man. Come on,
Cool.
open up.
Being a pussy's cool.
Let your pussy out.
Yeah,
Take
let
your
it flow.
pussy out, dude.
Is it wet? You're like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. Open
okay,
it,
good,
air it
good,
out. Let
yeah.
it. Let me see
man.
it.
Sensitivity. We're
Right,
sensitive.
yeah.
We're sensitive.
You
these
gotta
days.
have it. Dudes are more. I feel like guys are more like, especially in relationships, because this is so fucking weird. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's like I always feel like guys have to be super. They feel like they have to be super stoic, and then so women see them being stoic, and then they think that they're not as sensitive as they are. But really, we're just like going around with this like inner critic, like constantly talking about the things that we hate about ourselves and that we constantly do wrong. And then when our girlfriend complains to us or wife complains to us, it's like that's already, it's just echoing the thing in our head. You know what I mean? Like, so we're like over and you're like looking at the shelf. You're like, God, I did a terrible job putting this shelf up. And you know what? I think I should just try to fix it. And then all of a sudden your girlfriend's like, if you're going to fix the shelf, just make sure you don't fuck it up this time. You're like, yeah, I fucking know, bitch. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like double power in your brain.
Oh yeah, they're good at that too.
Yeah.
They're good. Yeah.
Sorry, I got it. I
love
fired
it.
up for that.
Well, it's
You can still get pretty fucked up.
You ever have a bang? You ever drink one of those? The bang?
A bang?
Yeah,
No, what's
bang.
that?
Oh god, don't. It's
This is
fucking-
the dorkiest sober. You ever bang a Red Bull,
Bang.
bro?
Yeah. Hammered.
Yeah.
You're getting hammered.
Hammered, dude. Hammered on
love
like
it.
caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are you headed after this?
I have to go to the Comedy Store.
What's
and,
going on?
Yeah, there's a couple shows there.
We went there last night, bro. My wife and I, we sat right in the front.
Yeah,
was great.
That's a scary place to sit when
It
you're
was.
sober. That's usually reserved
Yeah.
for the drunk people.
Luckily, there was an Asian guy and his buddy who looked like Justin Bieber sitting
Oh,
right
yeah,
next
yeah,
to
yeah.
us. So they just focused on them the
Yeah,
whole time, which took a
100%.
lot of the pressure off my
It's
wife.
funny
and I,
how
but-
often audience members say that. Like, luckily, there was these fucking dorks next to us, and
Pretty
so
much.
they were getting slammed, and
they
they
took
left
it as
us
good
alone,
sports, though.
yeah.
It was good. Yeah. Yeah. Any advice, man, for anyone? I mean, we're recording this too, so it's gonna go back.
Gosh, I don't
Let's
know.
give your expert advice, Joe.
I'm so bad at like giving it. Like people will call me all the time because I have all this time, and they're like, "Hey, man, I'm thinking about getting sober. Like, what do you think?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't fucking know. Do you want to get sober?" You know what I mean? Like they're like, "Well, I think I might have a problem. Do you think I have a problem?" And I'm always like, if you're talking about something that you think might be a problem, it's probably already a problem. Or, you know what I mean? You're not ever like, "Hey, do you think I should get new shoes? These ones really hurt." Is that a problem? Yeah, that's a fucking problem, dude. Get new shoes, of course. Like if you're talking about it, obviously you need to get sober.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the thing I tell people is like, you don't have to fucking get arrested and lose your life to get sober. Like there's never it's never going to hurt you to get sober, and there's really nothing to gain from drinking, even if you don't have a problem.
Yeah, just a hangover,
right? Like,
Yeah.
there's just like even if you're like a normal person drinking, like 2 glasses of wine is enough to start a fight with your wife over something
Easily.
stupid.
Oh yeah, easy.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Man. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, dude, that was fun.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Yeah, of course, bro. Is there music to play me out? I feel
Give it up
awkward,
for Joe.
Just awkward.
Sinclitico.
applause.
I know. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Our next guest is Darren Prince, and Darren's an entrepreneur, a sports and celebrity agent. Darren's also 10 years sober. He's a public recovery advocate and speaker. He represents many high-profile clients, and which we'll get into some of that, of course. And he's also got a new book out, Aiming High: How a Prominent Sports Celebrity Agent Hit Bottom at the Top. And it's actually an international best-selling book. He's an awesome dude. I thank him so much for coming out tonight and hanging with us. Give it up for Darren Prince. Darren Prince, what's up, man?
Oh, good for inviting me.
So good thing the Chargers weren't in the playoffs because you wouldn't have been here tonight, and I wouldn't have blamed you, man. But the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
The Patriots won in overtime.
Oh, they did win. Marlene is a huge Patriots fan. Yes. Yeah. All right, man. So what's up, man? How's things? How's the book going?
Life is great.
Killing it.
The book's doing great.
Aiming
Helping a ton of
high.
people.
Yeah.
It's not often that somebody in my position can go out and talk about the life of working with some pretty big icons.
Yeah.
But when I guess I started to get sober, it became clear to me that I must have been that bad and that sick that all my clients now support the new and improved Darren, which was pretty cool.
So you started as a young entrepreneur with a baseball card company, right? Mm-hmm. So how does a kid start this baseball card company and then ends up being an agent for these top athletes and celebrities? I mean, I know there's a lot in between in that, but take us back to that.
I started a baseball card company in 1984. I was born and raised in New Jersey and would do trade shows all over the country. By the time I was 18, 19, a lot of athletes and celebrities would be signing autographs at these conventions. I thought it was intriguing, got into that business for about 4 years, and then Magic Johnson, Pamela Anderson, Chevy Chase, Smoking Joe Frazier, Muhammad Ali were my first 5 clients.
Yeah, and Magic Johnson, how does that happen? Your first client's Magic Johnson. I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
Started fucking autograph signings for him, and I had my own legal issues right before I started working with him full time. I was arrested 4 times on possession charges, but never once was it my fault. I was carried out of an Allman Brothers concert. I think I'm older than most people here on the best ecstasy imaginable. Back then, the MDMA was from either University of Maryland or University of Texas, and it was crazy. It was you can sit in the room by yourself and have the greatest night of your life, or you could be out and have the greatest night of your life.
Either way, you're good.
Either way, you're good. And so I was on probation for about a year. Once I started working with Magic, I was like, all right, that's it. It's the end of the illegal drugs. I'm not going to screw up this opportunity. And I developed a bad sciatica condition and just played it to the hill to get all the opiates I needed.
So you got the condition, and that leads into getting the opiates, which eventually leads to the addiction. And you did, I mean, you talked about doing, being a part of, in the business. You're going to, Mike Tyson fights. I mean, you're going to all these huge events, and you're high as a kite, and nobody really knows about it during the whole time.
Nobody knows about it. I mean, some of the craziest stories ever. Pamela Anderson at Paradise Club in Vegas after the Tyson Botha fight, and I'm functioning to the most part, but I knew how bad and ugly it got. Hanging with Mike Tyson too. Dennis Rodman, obviously. You guys know his story.
Well,
Believe it or not, I got to make it clear right here as I do on all the talk shows. Dennis has never done a drug in his life. He's just an alcoholic. That's his drug. Everybody
just
thinks
alcohol.
Because it's purely alcohol. He won't even go near weed. And
what is it like having him? Because I know a lot of your clients are also your friends. I know Dennis is one of them. What is it like being sober and you're doing your recovery program and having, and not specifically Dennis, but anyone you might work with? What is it like trying to keep that relationship? Do you help them stay sober themselves? Is that a part of it too, or is it more business?
Dennis is one that I've helped over there. Charlie Sheen more or less did it on his own.
He's been sober a couple years, sir. Charlie,
he's got 14 months.
Yeah, that's good.
He's doing unbelievable. So let's give it up for Charlie.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, good job, Charlie.
Really not easy.
Yeah, he had a long run.
But he's doing great.
That's awesome.
And it's a little weird though bringing Dennis Rahman to an AA meeting. I've done it. I brought him to 626 North Robertson.
What does that look like?
It's hard for him to hide.
Yeah.
So and
it's like 7 feet tall.
He's about 6'8".
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed too, I mentioned Magic Johnson earlier. It seems like he not only was your client, but almost like a mentor to you too. Mm-hmm. Is that pretty?
Yeah, it's amazing. You guys that were born and raised in LA obviously know his story, and he was always big on, comebacks when he was diagnosed with HIV and everything he did, and the people that were there for him to believe in him and not give up on him and support him. And I think it was a little bit personal for him as well with me. And as bad as it got after my first overdose, I called him, and he didn't care about the business at that point. He just wanted me to get well. Yeah,
he said, he wasn't interested in that side of it. It was like full support for you. It's important to have those people in our lives, community and stuff. Yep. So if we go back, like one of the I went back and listened to the old podcast. I think it was episode 219 when I had you on. You talked about having stomach issues at age 12 and getting Demerol as a kid. I mean, is that really what led to the addiction, you think, or?
Yeah, I was a 12-year-old con artist in Sleepaway Camp. The nurse gave me, which I didn't realize what it was. I took this green syrup in a clear cough syrup cup, and I'm walking back to the bunk, and I was flying out of my mind. And I was talkative, kind of like he said, when you were sober, you're able to be extroverted versus introverted. That's a 12-year-old kid. I was the social butterfly. I was funny. I was cool. I was good-looking. Everything I wanted to be in that moment. Yeah. And I started flirting with the girls in the bunk next door, and I woke up the next morning, no stomach pain the entire day, lying in bed at 12 years old. I'm looking up at the sky thinking that feeling was amazing. And I said to the counselor, can you take me back to the infirmary? My stomach's killing me.
Wow. So you're just being a little con man right out of the gate. I did it for
about 3.5 weeks until my parents
At 12?
Yeah, my parents came up for visitation. They found that, and they went ballistic on the nurse.
Wow. And so that leads into, later on just a full-blown opiate addiction. But one of the things that you said that I like, too, is that you were functioning. Because a lot of people, there's this different levels of it almost, like some people can function. I'm not necessarily in the gutter and in prison, or, I didn't, do something immaculately stupid or ridiculously stupid. You're still doing your job. You're still doing whatever. Like how it tricks us almost, I guess is what I'm getting at. You're able to say, I'm cool.
Yeah, and obviously with the success and the money and the clients I had, look, I wasn't perfect. There was some nights. I remember when Dennis Rahman got evicted from Celebrity Big Brother in London, and I flew out. We pulled an all-nighter at Stringfellas Strip Club. I mean, you go with the big man there, you're guaranteed a pretty epic night.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Almost missed the flight. He had to wake me up.
Really?
I was in such a stupor from all the drinking and drugs. Wow. And so we literally almost missed the flight. And that's when I was like, all right, this is getting a little bit bad. If Dennis Rahman's being the responsible one to wake me up to make it to the airport, I might have a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's got to be tough.
But it still took another 5 years after that until I found my awakening.
So what was the awakening?
The awakening was, all right, follow me. I was on Suboxone. Mood stabilizer, antidepressant, snorting Ambien to go to bed at night, drinking several days a week when I'm out with my clients to the point of blackout because I just didn't want to feel or live anymore. Mood stabilizer. And I fell to my knees thinking that I was taking some Klonopin for the 48-hour detox that I was on, and there's 4 Vicodins. And I fell to my knees. I couldn't do it anymore. I called out for help. I was shaking, trembling, and crying, looking up at the sky. I said, God, take the notoriety, the business, the money. I don't give a crap. I need a day in my life of freedom and happiness, whatever it takes. And I was one of those people that had the awakening, because I felt the warmth on my right shoulder, and I heard the voice, I got you when you're ready. And I stood up. I flushed the pills. 20 minutes later, I'm in a taxi cab. I found a 12-step meeting online. And I'm looking up at the sky. I said, holy shit, for the first time in my adult life, I wanted to stay sober more than I wanted to get high. And I walked into a church basement, and it wasn't Magic Johnson or Pamela Anderson or Hulk Hogan or any of these icons. It was these degenerate drug addicts and alcoholics just like me that slowly but surely made Darren Prince feel whole. And that was my date of the change, July 2nd, 2008.
That's good. Very humbling experience for you.
The greatest experience of my life. You know, I was given the gift of desperation.
Yeah.
And I just dove right into it. I said, this is the most amazing thing I've ever experienced. You know, there's 150 plus people in the upper 80s in New York City that night on a Sunday, and just people putting their hand up, and I'm listening, and I had no shame. I threw my hand up. I said, I'm sick, I'm suffering, I need freaking help.
Yeah.
And, you know, half a dozen guys, like the guy, you know, the comedian guy said before, you know, they start coming over to me. I didn't know who these people are. And they're talking to me.
Here's
the
my
first
phone
time
number.
they met me. I felt like I knew them more than I knew my friends that I grew up with since I was 5 or 6 years old. I was like, this is freaking
That's the
amazing.
Fellowship, you know, the
Freaking
fellowship
amazing.
is strong.
And I just slowly but surely wanted more of it. And, you know, one day at a time became a week at a time, on the tougher days, a minute at a time. And little by little, it became a year, and then 2 years. And I started seeing this shift, kind of like you said, with the world of recovery.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's stigma, but it's also in certain parts of the country. I do a lot of traveling over the world. It's considered cool to be in this, you know, transformative, positive, spiritual, badass way of life. That we were able to push the reset button on our lives. That we all turned our bottom into our beginning. And that was just so amazing. And then I eventually got the idea to write the book with Anna David, my publisher, about a year and a half ago. And I was like, you know, it's never been done before. Most agents, because of the stigma, can't do it. Let me speak to a couple of my clients and see what they think. And every single one of them.
Support.
Mark Cuban gave me a comment about, I mean, there's so many.
So what do you mean, like the stigma behind, like from being an agent?
I know a lot that are in recovery.
Okay.
I know a lot.
Yeah.
And none of them will ever. They've got their own little private.
I see. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha,
a lot of them
gotcha.
won't even.
Yeah.
You know, when you're talking a conglomerate that's a publicly traded.
Yeah.
There's obviously, you know, people talk about the risk of relapse, and they don't understand that. You know, they're human like anybody else.
Yeah.
And I guess they have to be a little bit careful about where they show their faces.
Yeah. What do you think the best story is in the book? Or what's one of your favorite? I know there's a lot of them in there.
I love the I love the opening and the intro. Magic Johnson wrote the forward, but the intro is about my experience with Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier in 2002, the night before the NBA All-Star game. And I finally got the two of them to make peace. And I was high as a kite on opiates, because I was a 32-year-old, hollow, broken piece of shit on the inside that didn't think I belonged. I'm with two kings of the world that any president or world leaders would have given their right arm to be there in that moment. And that was just really special to me, because when I got sober and we lost Muhammad in June of 2016 and Joe in November 2011, to be able to look back and just know I was a good person, I was a sick person, so I needed to learn to forgive myself. And now to be able to use that story, which the writer Kristen McInnes did an amazing job with it, really taking you along for the ride, what got me there, what happened during it, and what happened after it. I know it's helping people. I'm getting emails every single day. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I'm getting phone calls, Instagram messages, Facebook posts. What a freaking gift, man, you know?
Well, and you said, I can't remember if it was on when we chatted or on the podcast before, you said, I've done a lot of amazing shit in my life, like, you know, successfully, business, all that stuff, but one of the, the most amazing thing has been getting sober and being able to give back. This is like a whole new life for you in a sense, right? It's like the second, like you said, another chance.
Yeah, I've been to the White House, love Trump or hate him. I've been to the White House 3 times this year. I was there for each one of the opiate epidemics as an invited guest. For
what does that look
signing
like?
Up the bill,
Yeah,
October,
the opiate. I saw that.
October 24th when they signed the $6 billion bill. I was one of 220 people invited. It's crazy because I'm walking in, like looking at the White House, like crap, I was the biggest freaking degenerate. How does this happen?
Yeah.
How does this freaking happen? Yeah. But it's about giving it back.
Yeah.
I'm nobody special. Every single person across the country, and I go to meetings all over the world. I've been in Sydney, Australia, Anguilla, Monaco, Montreal, Toronto, Turks and Caicos, because this comes first in my friggin' life. Yeah. There's nothing better than this fellowship. And AA means attitude adjustment, and I need more and more of it. And with this book right now, having the ability to open up my mouth and speak to kids and adults and go to charity events, it's just the greatest feeling in the world, man. We finally find ourselves, and we find out what our real calling is.
Yeah. You said too in the traveling that you're noticing that people are starting to kind of hop on that train, like it's become this cool thing to be sober now, or to not live that. Like I feel like in the 80s especially, it was like cool to be this messy, like just wasted, and that was like really, really glamour. And I think there's still some glamorization in culture absolutely today, but I think we're seeing a big shift in that. And I mean, if you're out on the road, you're seeing that firsthand.
100%. And I tell them the same thing I tell parents, and I'll tell you guys, like it always seems like we're focusing on the worst day. Forget the worst. Let's focus on the first. What did it on that first day that gave us something that the average normal person that doesn't need drugs and alcohol need?
Yeah.
What gave it? And I know what it was for me. I grew up labeled as having a severe learning disability and, verbally teased a lot. And when that Demerol went in my system, man, I found everything I needed to be.
Yeah.
And then I just, drugs, alcohol, whatever it was, you named it, I did it all for the next 26 years.
Wow. I'm thinking maybe you mind taking a couple questions? Does anyone have any questions? A little Q&A action. It's kind of hard to see back there. Anyone? All right, we can't leave till someone asks a question.
What was harder to get off of, opiates or Suboxone?
Suboxone.
Oh, good question, John.
It's not even close. Yeah, Dr. Drew's a client and a good friend. We talked about it on his show. It's not even close. He when Dennis went on Celebrity Rehab back in 2007, I was on Suboxone for 1.5 years, and Drew called me personally to get him on because he was in some legal trouble. Like an asshole, I'm like bragging to him, telling him I'm sober, that I've been on Suboxone for 1.5 years. And he actually starts laughing, but it wasn't like a funny laugh. He's like, Darren, that is really dangerous.
Yeah.
What doctor has you on Suboxone for 1.5 years? Because you're more hooked now on that than you are the real opiate.
It's supposed to be a temporary fix in some aspects,
it was
right?
supposed to be like
months.
a 1 or 2 week deal.
Wow.
And that I created a whole nother monster with getting hooked on the Suboxone. But with that being said, I know there are people, and Ryan Hampton and I, as my boy, were just talking about this, that, I don't care if somebody's in the fellowship on Suboxone, because I know there's a lot of people that talk about that. To me, is if it's that first step. If your life is not unmanageable, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
and,
for sure.
Your life is not powerless, and you're doing that much better. God bless you. I'm not here to judge.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I think that's a good point to go into that. Some things that work for some people don't work for everybody else. And so, I've always been kind of opposed to, even though I have a program that I work that works for me, I never throw that on anyone else, because that, something that works for me doesn't work for them, and vice versa. So I guess point being is, like, we got to keep an open mind about everything, especially when it comes to recovery. Like, let's keep an open mind. There's all different types of things. I mean, we're seeing, like, it's great, like podcasts and digital content and live shows like this. Obviously meetings, the backbone, the foundation of recovery, just, 12-step meetings and groups and all that stuff. It's really a cool thing. I feel like there's this huge movement, man. It's so cool to be a part of it.
And then you set up an event like this, which is about laughing. And how many of us were really laughing authentically when we were out there using? That wasn't real laughing.
Yeah.
To have it here tonight and these sort of events, that's so freaking awesome.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you, man. Anyone else have any questions or anything? Go ahead, man.
So you said you Intuitively, like, what do you think that was?
To me, I call it God. I mean, I truly do, because as this journey's happened, there's been so many crazy spiritual awakenings that I talk about in my book that I've had, that for such a large part of my recovery, I knew how much I needed God. And then I started getting these signs that God needed Darren Prince. And I got a photo in there that'll blow every single one of you away. That's my pride and joy of my recovery journey. On my 9-year sober birthday, I had the privilege of being in Akron, Ohio, out of all places, on business. And I told my office, I'm going on that trip. Like, why the fuck would you go to Akron, Ohio? I was like, you guys don't understand. I'm like, Dr. Bob's house is in Akron, Ohio. It's the fellowship that started it all on June 10th of 1935. And 5 months earlier, I lost my dad, my best friend in the world. He wasn't one of us. He, 81 years old, but he had his son back, a sober son, for 8.5 years. So my perspective on it was, what a gift. And give me one of the books, and I'll see if I can find this. So this is better than an AA meeting. So I'm pulling up in the Uber, and I'm on the phone with my sponsor and my Uncle Stu, who got me in the fellowship, and everyone's saying how amazing it is that my dad's looking down, that 5 months after I lost him, I'm at Dr. Bob's house to pay homage. This guy greets me on the steps and says, "Welcome home, son." And that's Dr. Bob's front porch, and he's got a shirt on that says Dad.
Oh, shit. That's
Okay,
crazy.
So
yeah, it's a God
crazy
shot.
stuff,
I mean,
man.
to me, that's
crazy.
Yeah.
It's like we both started crying when I told him the story, and it's just like, man, you get these.
You start recognizing those
I
moments.
can't tell you
too.
how many Uber drivers I've had in Vegas, Chicago, Tampa, the Serenity Club in Clearwater Beach. How many Uber drivers pick me up, drive me there, and are actually in the program.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of you have had that experience. I mean, that just.
Well, it's kind of like what I was saying in the intro too. Like, no matter where I go, is it the corporate world, my kids' school, the grocery store? You start talking, and it's like always somebody. My wife, my dad. It's it does not discriminate. That's for sure.
And we need that. And I think God's plan for
Absolutely.
me, when I felt the warmth and I was told, I got you when you're ready, I think He knew that at some point I wanted to be a voice. Like, I was going to be comfortable enough to share my story. I've never been so comfortable talking about uncomfortable stuff.
Yeah.
And again, it's from all you sorts of people, and going to a lot of damn meetings and working the steps and service work, and working at different rehabs and just giving back. And I mean, that's just the greatest thing in the world, because for so many years we lived this double life, and now we're able to be comfortable in our own skin.
Darren, we know how to be sensitive now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good stuff, man. Well, I know you got an early flight in the morning. Any other questions or anything out there before we wrap this thing up? All right, man. Any advice for anyone out there listening? Anyone sitting in tonight? What's your parting advice, Darren?
That if you don't think you could do it, you can. I think everybody here and a lot of people in the fellowship around the world would say they were in the same boat.
Yeah.
That the strength is actually surrendering and giving it a shot, because one day at a time you could have a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. The book's aiming high. Darren Prince, give it up for Darren Prince, everybody. Thank you, sir.
I'll be home at 2.
Scoot over here so I make this a little bit easier. All right. You guys good out there? All right. It's hot up here, man. These lights, my top lip is all sweaty. Should have shaved this mustache. Jess, you don't like the mustache, huh? No? I mean, it's kind of like it's a beard, so it's not just. I tried to grow like a cop stash, and she was like, I'm not going to make out with you unless you shave that thing, so it's not working. All right, our next guest, he's an actor, stand-up comedian, talk show host. He was the co-host of ABC's Wipeout, as well as the host of Talk Soup on E. Man, I love that. E! Entertainment Network. He hosted over 1,000 shows in the 4.5 years he was on the network. Give it up for John Henson, everybody.
Dude, that was great. How fucking great was that interview, man?
It was pretty damn
fun.
fun.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. Solid dude right there.
Everybody, this is really great. Thank you for having me, man. And thank you for this awesome hat.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. I appreciate you coming out. And
I appreciate the swag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
give me some free shit, man.
Hey, free shit is always good.
I ain't proud. I want something free.
Who doesn't want something free? Oh man, that's good, dude. So, man, where the hell do we even start with this?
First of all, I just want to say something. The way you opened up, you said something that really resonated with me when you were talking about how you run into people from your sober world out in the world, and it's like you meet somebody of nothing. As soon as you have that connection, it is literally like they could be as foreign to you as if they were from Mars. But once you have that connection, you're like, dude, I'll give you the shirt off my back.
Yeah.
Like it is what I would imagine. People who are like, oh, you were in Normandy Beach? Come on over. I'm going to make you dinner. You know what I mean? You can stay. It's like there's an instant sense of peace and calm and connection that I find incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's that fellowship where the weird aspect of it. Here, let me give you my number real quick, which is kind of especially when you've never been around that, you're like, what the fuck is this guy? Is he that's a little? But at the same time, what you're talking about, the solidity in that, is that a fucking word? Solidity.
It is now.
Okay, I just made it up. It is solidity.
Yeah, no, but
it's solid though. Because
the first time I experienced it, when people are like, give me your number, I'm like, go fuck yourself, man. You want my number? 6. Call me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not.
That's it.
Dude, I barely sat through this fucking last hour. I don't ever want to see any of you people again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, we were outside talking for 2 minutes, and I was like, hey, I'm going to text you a little, you know what I mean? Like,
here's a meeting tomorrow. Come on through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's awesome.
So you grew up with 4 older brothers, is that correct?
Yeah.
What the hell was that like? No wonder you ended up drinking. And
I mean, it was like fucking growing up in Abu Ghraib. You know what I mean? There was a lot of breaking of the Geneva Convention. There was a lot of questioning under duress. You know what I mean? I was the youngest by 7 years. There was no matchup in the house that favored me. Like the only upside was like, through probably like the beginning half of high school, there was no confrontation that I could get in where I wasn't like, dude, you are not physically capable of hitting me half as hard as I get hit every fucking day when I go home. Like there was no fear, because I was like, what is it, man? I mean, it's like I'm getting it when I get home anyway.
Probably taught you to throw him down a little bit too, huh?
I mean, I was, I wasn't like a tough guy, but I was a punching bag when I got home.
Do you think comedy helped with that as a young age?
I do. I mean, I think that I was a kid that I knew I couldn't compete physically, so I had to learn to defend myself verbally. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I had to become a wise ass because it was the only way that I had to fight back. Yeah. You know what I mean? To push back.
Got to have a little wit, a little smarts about you.
Yeah, and I just, I just grew up with that, like, look at me. You know what I mean? Like, I just,
Yeah. How'd you get into comedy? Did you start comedy first?
I think really the true answer is I was not and am not good at anything else. And it's not like I have a special aptitude for it. It was just like, well, let's go with this. I was not a good student. I got thrown out of a public high school in Connecticut, and you guys. You have to really shit the bed to be thrown out of public high school. Like you really, you can repeat first grade. You repeat junior year and people start moving away. I was a 5-year high school student.
5-year plan?
5-year plan. And I went to college for a couple of years. I was at Boston University, and I started doing improv my freshman year. I started doing stand-up my sophomore year. And I dropped out of BU after my sophomore year while my dad was on the Board of Regents for Public Education in Massachusetts. He was, in 1988, one of Dukakis's advisors for the presidential election and was slated to become Secretary of Education. He's like from Arkansas, like conservative guy. And I it was like I was like, I'm gonna join the circus and guess weights for a living. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, what the fuck did you just say?
Oh,
wow. So yeah, I mean, I was just sort of all in, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew I wanted to perform. I started acting when I was a kid, and I just,
Do you remember your first comedy set you did?
Yes, I did.
What did that look like? I'm just curious. My wife and I
it was at the Student Union at Boston University. They had like there was some sort of like college comedy. We're gonna find the funniest college student in America or something, and I did whatever 3 or 5 minutes, and it was I had a good set. And then a series of very terrible sets after that. It's like you're like, this is easy. And no, it's not.
Then you got to go. Excuse me, got to go flop and fail a few times, kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you could probably make the analogy that it's not dissimilar to sobriety, in that it's like failing is the pathway to success, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like failing to me is the currency of success. If you're afraid of failing and you want to put yourself in a position where you do not fail, you're putting a hard ceiling on your ability to improve in life.
Yeah.
So, give yourself the fucking permission to eat it, in anything. And humble yourself because it's the only way you're going to get better.
Yeah, that's good. And I think to piggyback on that, I talk a lot about putting in the work. Like a lot of people say, well, how'd you get sober? They think there's like this magic wand that you just wave and everything's great. Probably same thing with comedy. Oh, there's a formula for it. I'll just write comedy. I'll be a great comic. It's like, no, it takes work. You actually got to show up and do the shit that you need to do to have that success. And a lot of people, it's hard to do that.
Dude, you can equate it to sports, right? Like some guys are super athletic and they got fast twitch muscles and they can hit a fastball, but it takes fucking grinding to learn to hit the curve.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you want to make it to the next, it's like there are people who are just willing to put themselves out there, and maybe they're gregarious and they're funny and they got, they can tell a good story, but you don't just like make a career out of this shit until you are willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears. You got to put in a pound of flesh and then some,
So when did you struggle with alcohol and drugs, or was it just alcohol?
I started alcohol when I was, I think I remember like sneaking beers when I was in single digits. Me and my buddies like stuck a 6-pack and we went out and split it. And like drinking, I don't know, what's freshman year, 14, 15, something like that. 14, 15. I started drinking and pot was probably like my first drug of choice. Like I love drinking, but pot was like, oh, this is fucking great. And when I look back, when I look at my life through the prism of recovery, it was like when you go to the optometrist and they do that, like better or worse, better or worse, Like when I looked at my life through the prism of recovery, I was like, oh yeah, like I immediately related to drugs and alcohol different than everyone else around me. Yeah. Like I went from like trying pot to being the biggest dealer in my school in a year, you know what I mean? And like basically failing out of school. Like it was just, it was on and cracking, you know what I mean? And I think people just have a lot of, I never got offered a drug I turned down. Like, and I'm that's like not an exaggeration. Nobody ever fucking offered me something that I went, no way, bro. No way.
It's like a buffet kind of.
Yeah, I was the guy that was like, you better give me 2 because I have a naturally high tolerance. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter. And I'm like talking about new drugs. Like nobody ever, like if I didn't do a drug, it's because I didn't come across it or it wasn't invented when I was doing drugs. There was no like, I went, oh, that's too far for me. I was like, fuck yeah, man, let's go.
Let's party.
Yeah.
How long did that go on for you? Like from start
till the wheels fell off,
Which was when?
I would say like when I got married and had kids. Well, look, I think the reality is, like a lot of people in recovery, I began drinking and using drugs in social circles, and it made me, I felt made me gregarious, and it kind of put me at ease, and I got a little distance from my anxiety and my problems with my insecurities, and it made me feel good, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't a guy who drank and used to escape life. I was a guy who drank and used to show up for life. Like, that was how I got shit done. Do you know what I mean? That was how I met my responsibilities. So, you know, that was woven into the way I took care of business. And in my business, it was a very permissive thing, writing comedy. And, you know, and so what I found was the bigger my life grew and the more responsibility I had, the bigger my disease grew. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it got to a point where what was an aid and then a crutch just blocked out the sun. And I did not, you know, for the last many years of my experience being out there drinking and using, I didn't want to be at a party.
Yeah.
Dude, I wanted to be alone. Like, I learned very quickly as things started to roll out of control, like, hey, if you don't know about it, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was like a CIA wet op. Like, I kept shit under wraps.
Yeah.
And no one in my life knew the extent of how bad things were. And it was all in secrecy, all in private. And, you know, it was like, dude, you just, you have no fucking idea how much work that is. Like, if you have a wife and children and a career, you know how much work you have to do to manage a disease like that, an addiction. It's fucking endless, man. I mean, it is endless. Yeah. And it just got to a point where I realized, like, well, forget the fact that, like, I felt like a fraud in my own life, right? I didn't feel like I deserved I had everything I had ever wanted. Job, money, house, car, wife, kids, and I was like, I'm a piece of shit.
Did you feel like you knew yourself at all, or did you feel like you had
there was
fucking
nothing to
clue?
know.
Yeah.
I was just a ghost.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
I
numb
was
all
just
the time.
I was an amalgam of lies. You know, and so this thing that, like, used to bring me pleasure, like, literally just created the Grand Canyon between me and any joy in my life. I just could not access any joy. And then it just got to a point where I realized, like, this is never going to end. Like, I'm going to die, or worse, I'm not.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember laying in bed a lot of times going, shit, I don't even want to wake up tomorrow. I didn't care if I woke up the next day. There was just no feeling there. It was just there was no, like, today when I wake up, I'm genuinely excited to wake up, which is fucking crazy to think back 5 years ago. I could have cared less when I had I still have my wife and kids and stuff. And that to me freaks me out to think about that.
Dude, I always say the best thing about being sober is I know exactly what I'm going to feel like when I wake up.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, and that's fucking amazing, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's, look, I if you don't have it, God bless you, man. Set yourself free, do whatever you need to do, enjoy yourself, have a good time. But if you got it, good luck. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
I watched that movie Beautiful Boy with my wife. I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, but it's for people like us, it's a tough watch, you know? And there's a scene in the movie, I don't want to blow anything for you, but there's a scene in the movie where one of the characters who's close to this guy who's a tweaker just wants to know what it's like, and so he tries it, right? And then you see him get all high, and he never does it again. And my wife, God bless her, she's not one of us, and she doesn't, she doesn't have to get all this. She doesn't, she doesn't need to understand it the way we do. But she goes, "Oh, I get it." So it was like he just saw what happened with the other guy, and he realized the repercussions, and he was like, "No, I better not do that again." And I was like, "No. I think he's not an addict. I think that's the the fucking thing because it's not repercussions that stop us. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if that guy was a fucking addict, he would have been like, dude, this is awesome. You know what I mean?
I love this shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're you know, I mean, that's been my experience, and that's why the longer people like us drink and use, the more you start seeking out other people who have that because they're the only other people that get it. Where you feel like, okay, now I don't feel like a freak because you're just like me, and once. It's like I used to go to Stuckey's when I was a little kid on road trips, and they had these little things that you could buy for a nickel. It was like a tall bird with red liquid in it, and it'd tip over into a glass of water, and it would just keep going. You know what I mean? Like a metronome. That's an alcoholic, man. Like once you start, it's like, no, I'm good, man. This goes on forever.
Cool. Keep going.
Yeah, just keep putting water in the
All
glass,
night,
bro.
baby. Oh yeah. You said your wife. You said she's one of us.
No, not one of us.
But
she's
not one of us. But I guess my question was, because I know like Jess gets it now because I live this different life than we lived before. She doesn't get it, but she gets it. Do you find that like
I think my wife
a general understanding?
My wife sees the difference in me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there's no, God bless my wife. You know, she didn't marry me knowing that this was who I was. Yeah. You know what I mean?
How long you been married?
8.5 years.
Nice.
And so, I mean, that was painful. Yeah. You know, having to basically go, hey, I have this issue. And my wife being like, who in the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Yeah. And God bless that woman stayed with me, you know. But, I'm like, you could learn all of it. And she's like, nope. You know what I mean? But she loves and supports and sees the change in me. Yeah. You know? And it's funny, I was going to, I have kids, 5 and 7. We were talking about it, and I ask you about that. I remember saying I'm going to a meeting, and my son goes, "What do you do at those meetings?" And I hesitated, and my wife goes, "That's where Daddy goes to learn to be a better man." Huh. Word. And I was like, "That's about as well as you can put it." Yeah. She knows exactly what she needs to know. You know.
At the same time, let's talk a little bit about parenting and then parenting sober, because God knows I love my kids, but there are days when I'm like, oh my God, I just want to just get fucking wasted right now because I can't handle this right now. Those thoughts still come up.
Yeah, it's humbling to make amends to a 5-year-old. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're like, exactly. Daddy needs to apologize. Was not about you. That was me. And I'm going to change that behavior. And if there's anything I can do to make this right.
Here's
more
the worst.
Cake? All right, I'll get you a piece of cake, and we're good.
The worst part is when your daughter goes, "Dad, you told me that last week."
Dude, I'll tell you, this is.
Shit, I did. Yeah.
You know, I will.
Keep trying.
There's 2 things that I want to say. So my wife and kids just came and gave me a cake, right? And my kids had never given me a cake before, at least not when they were at an age where they would understand it. And so they came and gave me a cake. And afterwards, I said, because they left right after the cake, and I said to my wife later, what did they say? And she goes, my daughter looked at her and goes, "Why did you bring me to that nonsense? There were no kids there. It was boring, and I didn't even get to have any cake." And I was like, "Oh yeah, because the cake just goes to the next guy." And she's like, "Well, you fucking said cake. What? Bust out the cake, bro." Like, they're leaving her at the door. She's like, cake, you know? Like, you don't take a kid to a birthday party and leave without cake. She was like,
have cake.
Dude, there was cake. She was fiending, man. She was like jonesing. But I will say this about because you talk about the kids thing, and there's a story that I think of a lot, which is, we like to say in this world that when somebody in your family has a disease, they are bringing that disease into the home. And everyone catches it, whether they know it or not, whether they drink or use or not. That disease is malignant, and it weaves its way into the family dynamic, right? But conversely, when you get sober, you bring sobriety into your home. And your family catches sobriety the same way that they catch the disease, right? Just ambient. When your behavior changes, the whole family dynamic changes, and everybody has to change their relationship to you. And I was tucking my daughter in about a year ago, So she was 4 at the time. And she goes, Daddy, where's your mommy? And my mom was a first ballot Hall of Fame drug addict and alcoholic who is no longer with us. And I said, my mommy's passed away, baby. And she like wrinkled her brow and she goes, so she doesn't stay in the world anymore? And I go, no, baby, she's with God now. And she goes, what's God? And I immediately went, oh, fuck. I was not prepared for this, you know?
4-year-old.
And I like, you know, in my head, I'm like, I got to Google something. You know what I mean? Like but I.
Alexa, what is God?
Yeah, so I did what we're trained to do, which is like, when doubtful, I pause. And I said the first thing that came into my mind, which was, God is love.
Love that.
And my daughters went, cool, good night. And
Thanks, Dad.
And I never told my wife about that conversation. And about 6 weeks later, she walked up to my wife and she goes, you're God. And my wife goes, I'm God? And she goes, yeah, I love you.
Oh, wow.
And Daddy said God is love. So I'm just saying, a 4-year-old heard that explanation, retained it, digested it, remembered it, and 6 weeks later was like, wait a minute, if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Like, that fucking blew my mind.
That's pretty amazing. At 4 or 5,
Yeah.
too, like, connecting dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't get that if you're, you know, trying to hurry up and put her to bed so you can go, you know.
Smoke some weed.
Yeah, smoke some weed or take some pills or, you know what I mean? Just like whatever it is, you know, you're not there.
You're not conscious, you know, you're not conscious. I always, my sponsor, I asked him about that, about God early on and how he kind of, what his take is on that. And he told me, and I always remember this, he goes, I know who my God is. He goes, I don't care who your God is or what your God is. Just know there is a God and it's not you. And I went, okay, I can kind of follow that.
Yeah.
You know, it's always.
Yeah, there are those great
stuck in
stories.
there.
I remember hearing a guy say, one of the first things I heard from a sober person that stayed with me forever, man, and in so many ways this has saved my ass. He goes, nobody ever denied me anything it was in their power to give me. And I went, what? And he goes, to the extent that a parent or a lover or a friend let me down, they were doing the best they fucking could with the tools that they were given. Yeah, and that's like that was like cracking the door open to, life isn't happening to me. It's just happening. Yeah. These people aren't doing shit to me. Yeah. Look, I had a marriage go down spectacularly. My wife cheated on me, took a shitload of money from me. And you know what? It wasn't fucking personal. She wasn't it's not like my wife at that time had it in her to be a fucking awesome wife and decided I wasn't worth it. Yeah. She was doing the best she could. And like when I realized that, I was like, oh yeah, man. Happy people don't behave that way. You know? God bless that chick, man. She must have been miserable. Poor thing, you know? I wouldn't have wanted to be married to me then. You know what I mean? I was a basket case.
So you start to work in some forgiveness, acceptance, all those keywords in there.
Yeah, I mean, and more like this person I thought was the boogeyman. The one person where I was like, I ain't never forgiven her. You know what I mean?
We all got that one.
And then I had that realization where I was like, oh, fuck, I owe her an apology.
Isn't that crazy, bro? Like, you just like,
what
is my part in this? I fucking hate you. But wait, what part did I play? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I love you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just so, crazy. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good, man.
The more I learn, the less I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think? Maybe take a couple questions and then we'll wrap this thing up. Any questions out there? I'm going to block these lights out. Anybody? Questions? All right. It's right there. Is that Joseph? Yeah. Joseph? What's up, Joseph?
Yeah, I always hear the thing in the rooms about people say that they thought that no one knew, but everyone knew when they got sober. And I couldn't relate to that because actually most people didn't know. And it sounds like you do the same thing. Does your wife really not know?
I mean, look, she knew that I was erratic. You know what I mean? She knew that I was unhappy. She had no idea what I was doing. No. Nobody in my life did. Dude, nobody in my life did. I had 3 different people that I purchased from, and none of them knew about the other 2. And each one of them would go, "This isn't all for you, is it?" And I'd be like, no, dude, are you fucking crazy? I got to make 6 stops on the way home. You know what I mean?
Holy shit.
So, no. I mean, my disease thrived in secrecy. That was it. For me, that was, that was it. It was, that expression, "You're only as sick as your secrets." Yeah, I was a sick fuck, man. And now, now I think in recovery for me, the canary in the coal mine is, my brother said to me once, he said this when I was going to an open bar Christmas party at E in 1995, but it applies to sobriety. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to an open bar party?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hey, let me give you a piece of advice. Leave before you start a sentence with the words, 'You know what your fucking problem is?'" And dude, I promise you, if you live by that in life, like if you just start going, "Wait a minute, maybe I should take a walk before," you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they always go, pause and ask for what your higher power's will is for you in the moment. And if I have the strength to do that, I promise you, the answer has never been, "God wants me to air you out, motherfucker."
Yeah. It's my job.
God has sent me down here to set you fucking straight and tell you what a dick you are and how bad you are to me and show me some respect, Like, that is never the answer.
Oh, no. I am sober, damn it.
Yeah.
Well, these ladies right here, when you came in, you having a couple of drinks or whatever, and you said, "Oh, we didn't know, like, we're having..." I said, "Man, have a couple, like, it's not, I don't like that, you know what I mean? You can't go
dude,
around,
I don't
drink it like that. We're all different.
Right,
Like,
and I'm not a guy that, I don't mind... Look, I'm not going to sit around with a bunch of people around a glass coffee table and watch them do rails all night. But I go to fucking...
Yeah, exactly.
But I go to parties all the time. You know what I mean? I go to parties all the time. And I don't mind... I don't mind being around people who are drinking and having a good time. Yeah. In my experience, I like to skip the last third of the evening when people just start getting, they're laughing at shit that's not funny, and they're just getting a little bit sloppy. And it's not because I think I'm going to drink. It's just because you're in a different place, and I'm not in that place, and I don't care to be in that place. Yeah. And God bless you, have a good time. I'm going to go home, you know? And that's all it is for me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what you got? I will tell you that I've had multiple breaking points. I've had multiple sobriety dates. I'm the kind of guy that will tell you what it was like, what happened, what it was like again, what happened again, and what it's like now. And I, you know what? I got to be honest with you. I'm grateful for that because I am a hard head, man. I'm a hard head, and I don't like to work hard. I didn't fucking move to Hollywood to work for a living. You know what I mean? So I'm not like, I am the kind, I'm going to do just as much work as I need to do to be comfortable, and then I'm punching out. So when I came in, I was the kind of guy that like, I was trying to limp by on, there's camaraderie in the fellowship. But the recovery is in the work, right? I mean, there's a specific process for the recovery. And in my experience, I'm just talking about me, you can stay abstinent for a while on fellowship and meetings, but if you don't knuckle down and do the work, sooner or later you're going to get broadsided in life. You can make it through your, I go to work for this many hours a week and I come home and I deal with my wife and I walk my dog and everything's cool. And then all of a sudden somebody dies or you lose a job or something goes wrong and you're like, fuck it. And it's like a knee-jerk reaction. And you don't have to make a decision to go out. In my experience, the world will put that opportunity in front of you, man. Like I left the back door open. I blew out my knee. I went to a doctor. He wrote me a prescription. We're off to the races, I got a medical need for it. So yeah, I mean, in a general way, what I would say is I've had a couple of different breaking points, but the last one and the most meaningful one was like I was telling people that I had sober time that I didn't have, which is an awful feeling. And the guy that I work with now, who I knew from before I got sober, said to me, "How you doing?" I go, "I'm fucking miserable, man." And he goes, "How long do you have?" And I told him how long I was supposed to have, how long I told everybody I had. And it was just fucking eating at me. It was eating at me. It was eating at me. It was eating at me all day. And, dude, I take secrets to the grave. But I called that guy later on that day, and I go, "One day, dude." I go, "One day." And he goes, "That's awesome." And I just broke down in tears and started saying, I don't know how to do this. Can you help me? I don't know how to do this, you know? And that's why, like, when I work with guys and they don't call, I don't get it, man, because that dude's phone was ringing. You know what I mean? Like, if that guy told me to eat a piece of dog shit, I would have been like, "Well, sucks, but I got to do it." You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm in. I'm in, and I am almost superstitious about the letter of the law. I mean, I do the writing, I do the work, I make the phone calls, I go to the meetings, and I don't say no to a request.
Yeah. You know? My sponsor told me a story about a guy who he came in and he was looking for his buddy who was his sponsor, asked him to be his sponsor, and he goes, "You want me to be your sponsor?" And he goes, "Well, yeah." And he had this big beard, and he goes, "Shave your beard and be back here tomorrow." And the guy was like, "What the fuck?" He walked off. He came back the next day. "All right." Shaved his whole beard off. He goes, "All right, I just want to see if you do what I told you to do." That's it. Dude's been sober for like, I don't know, 6-7 years or something like that. After that.
Yeah.
So taking order, that's hard for us to do. Take order. I don't want to be told what to do. Don't fucking tell me what to do. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
I mean,
that.
how many times do you get that, like, "Hey, could you talk to my sister-in-law? She's a fucking mess at Thanksgiving, and we're all worried about her." And I'm like, "Have you ever talked to her about it?" And he's like, "No. But I was thinking maybe you could," you know? And I'm like, dude.
You're a professional.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's hard to get sober when you want to get sober. If somebody doesn't want to get sober, hey, man, you know, sounds like you got one more in you. Hope you make it back, you know?
Yeah. John, I appreciate you, man. We're going to wrap this thing up. But we have one last question. Anybody? Good? Yeah.
Did being sober ever impacted your business negatively? Like, because you became successful, like you were always on drugs and stuff.
That's a good question.
You mean like, did I have trouble creatively once I took it away? No. I would say in a way you don't realize how heavy something is until you put it down. So for me, getting sober was sort of like taking the donut off a bat and going, "Wow, I had no fucking idea this thing was this light." You know what I mean? My job became easier. Showing up with a good attitude became easier. Being on time, being outgoing, asking everybody how they were doing. You know, when I leave someplace, whether it's a club or a set, I want every single person from the PA to the EP to go, "Wow, what a fucking great guy, man. I hope I get to work with him again." You know what I mean? Awesome. But I will say this. It did impact me negatively last May. I host a show on Food Network, and we shoot in New Orleans. And they had us in this old funky hotel, and I check into this hotel. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks, and in the French Quarter, and open up this old timey this big refrigerator, and there were 3 shelves of alcohol, and that doesn't include the full fucking bar in the corner of the room. And I called the front desk, and I go, "Hey, could you guys take the alcohol out so I could, put anything in my fridge?" And the guy goes, "Oh, yeah, that'll be $35. And I was like, "Motherfucker, they charge you to not drink in New Orleans." So, yes, I consider that a negative. It cost me $35 to stay sober in New Orleans.
That's terrible. I'm never going there.
Dude, it was like people were drinking in the fucking elevator to the bar. I'm like, is the ride down from 6 that long?
Yeah, you can't wait.
You know what I mean? I don't want to get the shakes, you know? Dude, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
John Henson, everybody.
And loving you was easy.
All right, we got one more guest, everybody. That was great, man. Good stuff. I know I already said it, but I appreciate everybody for coming out tonight. Love you guys very much. Thank you. Our next guest is a former professional stand-up comic, having appeared at the Comedy Store, Laugh Factory, and the Improv. She's been the sole columnist for the online addiction and recovery magazine, The Fix, thefix.com. She's also written for the Good Men Project, The Frisky, Refinery 29, and addiction.com. She also released her first book in September of 2017. It's called My Fair Junkie, a memoir of getting dirty and staying clean. Give it up for Amy Dresner. Amy.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going good. Good to finally meet
Some
you.
good shit. I know, right? Yeah, we've talked on the phone. We've been on the podcast before. We did the 90-day sobriety course, which was cool.
Right.
I appreciate you. I
Yeah.
forgot about that too. So what's going on? How's life?
Life's good, man. I mean, life's in session. Whatever. It's
How's
like,
Colonel Puff Puff?
Colonel Puff Puff's fucking rocking, man. He's the shit, man.
It's your cat,
That's
right?
yeah. I think I'm gonna fucking die. Like, it's like everyone's like, I get all these messages about my book and people like, you saved my life, man. Like, I feel less broken, alone, less ashamed. Like, thank you so much. And it's like, cool. I haven't had a date since the fucking book came out, but I'm glad I fucking saved your fucking life. I'm gonna die an old fucking cat lady, but I've saved lives. So who gives a shit if I ever get fucking laid again?
I love that you're so open about being the crazy cat lady too.
I'm
It's
not. I
so
don't think
great.
I am. I have one cat.
You're a
people
cat
are like,
lady. Come
Scott
on.
is on Instagram. He's amazing. I'm like, I'm not going that far.
He's
I'm
got a
not.
following though, right?
I know,
He's
and
got
then I
that's
have
insane.
like this reader who is a digital artist, and then he like puts Colonel Puff Puff in like a Russian astronaut costumes and puts him in the clouds and shit. And like, I mean, I just post him, and people are like, those are amazing. So,
how's the book? The book.
The book is great.
I know you have such a good community around you. Support.
Yeah, I
recovery,
want to say thank
but-
you all
yeah.
for coming out. I'm just
Yeah.
like blown away by.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
You know, that's the fucking dopest part about being sober. Is just like, hey man, this is happening and I need support, and everyone's like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
legit.
I mean, all like my peeps and my peeps and my peeps came out, and it's like, I'm like, holy fuck, okay, I feel loved, and I fucking chilled out, you know.
You're getting a lot of good response from the book. I mean, I see this shit on social media all the time. People.
Yeah,
reading
I'm not like
and- I mean-
posting people's like messages to me anymore because they just feel really personal at this point and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I feel like it's also like just like me just jacking off on Instagram. It just feels like too much. Like we get it. Like people love your book and it's real and like they identify. So I'm just kind of like chilling on that. But no, the paperback came out in September, right? It was so funny. You were like, hey, I realized on Friday, I get a text from Shane. He's like, hey, I realized we're having this event. It's like a ball fest, and we need like some sober vagina. I'm like, first of all, people think I have a bigger dick than most guys. Just want to let you know that. Second of all, but thank you for asking me, and absolutely I'll be there. And secondly, fuck you for asking me last minute, not thinking about me first.
I apologized already. You know I love you.
Of course. Yeah.
Some of those messages are crazy, huh? The messages.
Yeah, yeah.
In a good
I
way.
cry.
Crazy,
No,
like,
I
where it's
cry.
like-
I mean, it's, you know.
It's amazing.
I mean, you don't
yeah.
make a lot of money off a book. I was like, I'm going to buy a Tesla and have a house in the hills, and I'll buy you a boob job. And, you know, it's like none of that's fucking happened. You know what I mean? I still live in my shitty apartment, and, you know, Colonel chases cockroaches and whatever. But it's like, you know, the effect that it's had that I've able to take like 20 years of fucking self-destruction and hatred and pain and like all these horrible things and make them into a tool that's helped other people has been incredible. I mean, you know, it's like that to be of service. It was just like there's no feeling. It's the best. It's the best part of it for sure. You know, and yeah, I don't have any. I don't have any celebrity clients like Darren, but I have some celebrity fucks if you guys want to hear about that shit. I fucked a lot of celebrities when I was loaded.
I didn't even say it. Just take it away.
No.
So will you talk?
They're embarrassing, dude. When you're fucking loaded, you fuck some embarrassing psychos. It's fucking, you're like, you know, if you can figure out who they are in the book, figure it out. But like I tried. They went through legal and we doctored that shit. And one guy got cut out. I was like, whew. You know, he's just embarrassing. I was like, God, really? That's what shooting coke will do. Yeah, fucking.
Well, so let's talk about shooting coke in a bike helmet. That's one of my favorite stories. How about that?
Okay.
You want to share that one?
All right. So,
Trying to
well,
paint
I
that
developed
picture.
I developed epilepsy from crystal meth. I stayed up for 17 days on crystal meth, and I wrote a new Bible. It was awesome, and I thought I had the mathematical equation for God and stuff like that. So, and it's like I was like a crafty tweaker. Like some tweakers fuck a lot of people, and this was not like my non-fucking period. This was like when I just like collaged a lot and like, plucked my eyebrows for 18 straight hours and weird shit like that. And but anyway, I was 5 years clean. I'm like John, where I've had many sobrieties, and I just got 6 years on January 2nd.
Oh, nice! Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was, I got a cake last night from these two gentlemen, and it was fucking amazing. And it was like it was really, really moving. Yeah, this sobriety's been different because I lost everything, and then I finally got my shit together.
Well, how many times did you relapse?
I can't even count.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot
I've
of
been in
different
6
rehab
rehabs.
treatment
I've been
centers.
I was, in and out for 20 years. So,
Yeah.
but so at about 5 years clean, I was living in Paris, and I started having grand mal seizures, and I went to a French neurologist, and I would just like wake up on the floor like, like fucking bleeding, and like people were like, what the fuck? And I went to a French neurologist, and he did all these tests, and he's like, did you do a lot of cocaine? And I was like, I did a lot of crystal meth. He's like, you have hyperactive lesions on your frontal lobe. And I was like, fuck, man. So, so I was like, that's not good at all.
So is that how you got the bike helmet on? And
So
then
then, like, later I relapsed a couple years later because fucking epilepsy isn't going to stop me. Fuck that, right? So I'm shooting cocaine, and I kept having seizures. And, I had this epiphany. I was like, oh, fuck, It wasn't that I had to get sober. It was like, oh, shooting coke is a high-impact sport, man. Like, I need to wear protective gear. So I shot coke in a bike helmet, so I wouldn't crack my head open. And
anyone get a
worked.
picture of that? I mean, that would have been amazing. Anyone get a picture of
Well,
that?
I was by myself. Who's gonna take a picture?
True.
You know what I mean? It's
That's
like,
pretty smart, though.
yeah. But it was like, no. It was first I like just tried to like lay down in a pit of pillows and be like, and then I was like, fuck it, let's wear a fucking, like a helmet. And then I was like, good to go. If I fell down and cracked and I fucking seized, I was cool. I was like, okay, whatever. There was just like a little more water next time, whatever. Just shake it off.
What about the Hollywood chain gang? He was on a Hollywood chain
So
gang.
yeah,
I
so
love
for
the
those
story.
of you who don't know, so my book opens with me pulling a knife on my now ex-husband, because your husbands don't really like when you try and kill them, and so I pulled a knife on my ex. He was a fucking asshole, whatever, and fucking deserved it, and it wasn't even the right kind of knife. Like, it didn't even have a sharp edge. It was a sourdough cutting knife. I would have had to been like, hold still.
You got a saw.
While I saw into you. Like, come on. Whatever, pussy. Calls the cops on me, and I get arrested for felony domestic violence. Like, I weigh $115. He was like 300 pounds. Like, just grab the knife. Like, I'm a skinny desert Jew, strung out on oxy. Just grab it and be like, you crazy bitch. Like... Anyway, he calls the cops, and I get arrested for felony domestic violence with a deadly weapon, and I go to jail. And on Christmas of 2011, my parents were so proud. They were like, yay. We raised you so well. What the fuck? And so I lost everything. I ended up going through a divorce, a criminal trial, and I was given 240 hours of community labor and a year of domestic violence counseling. And so community labor is like on the chain gang. When you see those guys like sweeping the streets, you know what I mean, with the fucking outfits? Yeah, so it was like me and like 40 Mexican guys. And they were like, what you here for, Weta, huh? I'm here for a DUI. And I was like, oh, I'm here for felony domestic violence with a deadly weapon? They were like, oh shit, So yeah, it was fucking humbling. I was the only girl, and I had more time than anyone else, and I was like the only one there for violent assault, and yeah, it was interesting. So
was that the last episode since you've been sober, or since you?
Oh yeah, I have not.
But before that, you were a professional Four Loko drinker too. Right?
Well, I started getting into Four Loko after I got arrested. I was like,
everyone know what Four Loko is?
Yeah, Four
It's like the
Loko.
most
Yeah, that shit
potent-
is. Oh my God. Whoa.
It's terrible.
Yeah, no, it's amazing actually.
Yeah,
It's
well, yeah, I guess.
it's
Depends how you look
basically
at it.
it's like 5 beers and 4 cups of coffee in one fucking can of like
And it's like
orange
99
flavored
cents.
shit. Yeah, you go to any like 7-Eleven or gas station. I just was like, what's got the highest alcohol content? And I was like, that. And I was like, and it was malt liquor. And I was like, I hear malt liquor fucks you up. I was like, let's do this. So, yeah, I'm a horrible, horrible drunk. Like, I'm someone who gets naked and violent immediately. And I completely black out. And it's like, it was like John was saying, like, you leave a party before, like, you say, you know what, fucking, I actually, that's exactly what I would do. I'd drink and I'd be like, you know what I hate about you? It's like, oh, good, here we go. So, yeah. The best, and it's in the book, was I didn't want to drive drunk, so I had to pick up my friend from her job working for $1 million producer guy, and so I got a bunch of Four Locos and I parked in front of his mansion up in the Hollywood Hills, and I just got shit faced and waited for her, and she came out and she goes, "Are you driving my car drunk?" I was like, "No. I parked and then I got drunk." And she's like, I was very, she goes, "Responsible?" I was like, "Yes, that's so responsible." So, yeah, we're driving back to her house because my ex had thrown me out of the house. And I go, "I'm going to be sick." And she was like, "Oh, great." So she hands me a plastic bag and I start throwing up into it. And it has a hole in it. And so all of the vomit just goes onto my pants. And I was like, "It's on me." "Well, how is it on me? I don't understand." She's like, "Fuck!" So she pulls it over, and I'm like, "I need to take my pants off." And she's like, "No, Amy, don't." And I was like, "I need to take my pants off right now." So I take my pants off, and we're in Echo Park, and there's an AA meeting. And so it's like all the hipsters with their like asymmetrical haircuts and their like glasses. And I was like, "Is that an AA meeting?" And I'm like in my underwear drunk. I'm like, "Hi, guys." Fucking terrible. Oh my God, the worst.
What fucking speechless right now.
Right? Fucking worst.
Oh man, you're too funny.
I mean, there's a well, yeah, go on.
Well,
I'm gonna let you fucking lead, bitch.
I'll
Come
try.
on.
So
I want to say my Fair faucet looked really good, and then it jewed out fucking from the weather. I was like, when I left my house, my hair looked fucking perfect, and now it's all jewing out. It's fucking Jufro coming. Sorry.
What is jewing out or Jufro?
It's the Jufro. Fucking, I have curly hair. I'm like, yeah. It's like
Do
when
you
I
have
went to
curly
New
hair?
Orleans,
Really?
man. My hair was like straight, and then I got off the plane and went like Rosanna Dana. That's how they know if you're a Jew. They're just like It's like that fucking weather's brutal, man.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry.
This is fucking great. I love it. I mean,
I'm sorry.
Where else can we go sit and tell stories and talk recovery and have fun? And just.
You want to talk recovery instead of just
no?
me
I actually want to hear
shooting
fucking
coke
more
in my neck?
shitty stories, but we can kind of mix.
Oh,
them in.
well, okay,
what do
one
you
of the-
guys want to hear? Yeah, okay.
Stories.
See, that's what matters.
All right, here's a story they cut from the book, and they cut this D-list celebrity that I banged, who was married. Ugh, I just can't even. Oh, just even. You know when you think back, like, have you ever seen look back and you're like, wow, that was a bad haircut. Like, this is like one of those where you're like, wow, what the fuck was I thinking? I fucked him. But anyway, I called this celebrity. I relapsed. I was shooting cocaine in my house by myself. Fucking party one, man! And I called him and I was like, I relapsed. And he was like, oh my God, are you okay? And he was like, I'm at the Craig Ferguson show. I'll be right over after. And I was like, I was trying to get him to come over and fuck me. I'm not stupid. And so anyway, I was like, I'm gonna put on a black negligee, and I put on like a black negligee and like a push-up bra, and I shot up right before he came. And he opens the door, and I have blood pouring down my arm. And I was like, hi. And I'm like, sorry. And then I went through his fucking bag of stash, like his mug and his T-shirt and his candle and whatever.
What was his response to that? Hi.
And he was just like, "Wow, are you bleeding?" Like, and I was like, "Yeah, man." I was like, you know, he had tattooed his sobriety date on him, and he only had like 8 months, which I do not recommend because,
that's
you
a little
know, that's
early.
like my ex tattooing my name on his body. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I mean? As much as you might think this is your sobriety or this is like the love of your life, don't fucking tattoo that shit on your body, man. It took me 2 years to get his fucking name off my ring finger.
You have
2
any more
years.
tattoos?
No.
No? Clean. I got Jess's maiden initials tattooed on the back of my neck. So
Yeah, but
I
you guys
loved her
didn't get married.
No, but
I
I got
mean-
it before we got married, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, it's kind of. They say it's a
Yeah.
bad omen, but you guys.
It
seem
worked
fine.
out for us so
Yeah,
far, I guess.
You're
right?
fine.
So we're good.
10
years. 10 years.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that the longest relationship, my 10-year relationship was like with my hairdresser. Really, that's like, you know, it's like the longest relationship I've had. But I think another thing that they cut out of the book was, when my sponsor fucked me. That was good. That's a good. Yeah, they cut that out.
So let me interject here real fast, because you're a unique case in here. They always say when you have a sponsor, if you're a man, you should have a male sponsor. If you're a woman, you should have
Okay, well,
a
first
woman
of all,
sponsor.
yeah.
So I'm not implying anything. I'm just saying.
What are you saying?
What the fuck, Amy? Why are you fucking? What is that? How did that come
I was
about?
raised by my dad. I'm just more comfortable with men. I can
Yeah.
hear men better. I just wasn't close to my mom. I had a couple female sponsors. They were like, "Holy fuck, we can't handle you." And I'm sort of a dude inside. And so this guy, fucked me during a relapse, which is really shady. And welcome to LAAA. Hey. And then never called me again. Nice, right?
Wow.
Don't you want to work the steps now that you've been inside me? I did have a black lesbian sponsor for a while, for like 3.5 years, and she was like, you're fucking your way through AA. You need to like go to only women's meetings and gay meetings. And I was like, well, how am I gonna get laid doing that? And she's like, you not, baby. You gonna concentrate on recovery. I'm like, well, that sounds fucking boring. And so I was going to women's meetings and gay meetings, and this man walked into the meeting, and they were like, we're sorry, this is a women's meeting. And she's like, I am a woman. She was like super butch, and she looked like a dude. And I was like, hello. And I just crushed out because we'll take anything. If you have an urge, like, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, guy light. She can fucking fix cars, and she likes Tori Amos and ice cream, whatever. Like, let's do this. And she was not into me at all. She was like, I can't, Amy. And I'm like, why, man? I mean, I have more pull with guys. I'm like, guys fucked me all the time. Like, what's your problem? And she's like, you're a newcomer, and that's a sanctity I can't violate. I'm like, just you saying violate makes me so hot. And she was just like, she goes, you're straight. I don't fuck with straight girls. And I was like, okay. And she's like, and you're crazy. And I was like, so you're saying I have a chance here? That's what you're saying. So anyway, that didn't work out. Yeah.
I think the point of the...
So now I have a male sponsor again, but he's like 145 years old, and he's,
So his dick doesn't...
No. I feel comfortable with him. I tell him everything, and I have a male sponsee. And I have 2 female sponsees and a male sponsee because I was told that it's one alcoholic working with another. I mean, if you're gay, then should you have an opposite sex sponsor? If you have clean motives and it's cool and everyone's got good fucking clean, boundaries, it works. You know what I mean?
And I think that was to the point earlier made that certain things that work for some people don't always work for the other. We gotta kind of stay open to that, because I think in recovery you see a lot of people get real narrow-minded. This is the only way.
Yeah,
you
that
must do it like
fundamentalist
this.
shit.
Like, no
I'm
one
not
wants
down
to
with that.
really
Yeah.
do it.
I mean,
I know I don't.
when AA first started, all fucking women were sponsored by men. You know what I mean? Like that was the deal. So it's
a
like
little different.
Yeah. So I'm just oh shit. Okay.
I know we're about to dance, man. Shit. What else has been up? What's going on in the sober life of Amy Dresner? Besides massive book promoting and doing
I'm
shows
going to
and
Portland. I'm going to
podcasts. You've done
Portland.
like every podcast available.
I'm going to Portland. I'm going to Washington. I'm going to Ohio, all for the book or to do speaking. I'm getting into speaking. My book's been optioned for a TV series. It's in development.
Really?
Which is really exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really awesome. So how does that work? What does that mean?
I can't really talk that much about it.
Oh yeah, just gonna keep it on the low.
I'm serious. Like I can't. That's all I'm allowed to say right now.
Huh. That's kind of secretive.
But
and
it's
cool
like
at the same time.
just wait for Breaking Bad with tits to come to TV near you.
That's funny.
You know, that's what we need, right? Like, let's show the real shit, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my book is different from everyone else's because I sort of like I'm going to do like a podcast that's like called The Bullpen, and it's like being in jail. So I can do that. I can do sex addiction podcasts because I had that. I can do drug stuff. I can do recovery stuff. It's like, you know, I've just fucked up in all. I can do mental illness ones. I like fucked up in all areas of my life. I can do eating disorder shit. Like, I got it all covered. You know what I mean?
You're good because there's a podcast for every topic out there right now.
Yeah, I'm
so,
like multi-talented. A multi-talented fuck up. So it's like, you need someone. They're like, oh, Amy. You know, it's like. So.
She'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been on a ton of podcasts. But I mean, that's what it's about, though. You're out there. You're spreading the word. You're adding some comedy to it. This is
I think that's
shit,
what's really important. I mean, that's what I want to, you know, it's like so many recovery podcasts and so many recovery speakers are so fucking serious. And it's like, if, you know, I couldn't have gotten through the things I got through if I hadn't found the humor. And I think humor is really important. And I think it's really important in terms of diminishing shame. And it's like, I also want newcomers to know you can fucking laugh and be happy in sobriety. You know what I mean? It's not like all serious and shit. It's not like, oh, let's have tea and go to sleep at 9. You know, it's like fucking, you know, like we can fucking, you know.
Well, I hate that there's certain places or meeting or whatever where it's a very somber tone. I can't do those.
Oh, well, I like to. You should see me in those meetings. I just like totally fucking, you know, I just say the most outrageous shit ever.
So
I took a cake. It's like I told you yesterday, and this guy came up to me and he goes, "I heard you share once. You're one sick fuck." I was like, "Thank you." I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know what to say to that. I was just like, "Okay,
thank you. I appreciate that." But you're honest, though. That's the thing. It's you're
no one likes. You know, they. I don't think a lot of people. They don't like real honesty, you know, when you fucking talk the real deal, you know, like when I talk about like, you know, like 6-step or 7-step and like character defects and stuff. And they're like, God will remove it from you. I'm like, God's not some fucking wizard who's going to pluck that shit out of you. He's got other shit to do. Like, you're going to do that. You get to do the work. You get to act as if, you know, and that's been really, I mean, I lost everything and I was like on the chain gang and I was like, okay, you know, and everyone was over my shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 42 years old, and people were just like, there was no more money, there were no more chances. Everyone was like, we're tired. My dad was like, I'm over this. And I'm like, what? You know? Fucking 6 rehabs and 4 psych wards. Like, what are you over?
Yeah.
You know?
Thanks, Dad.
What are you over, Papa? You know? And he was like, I'm just getting tired, man. You at the bottom of the well. And I was like, ooh. He's just like, I'm over it. You've been draining me financially and emotionally for years. Like, fucking call me with good news or don't call me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So
how is that today for you? Like,
we're really close. My dad and I are really, really
Isn't
close.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Like how that you can come back just from doing the work.
He hasn't read, like, he doesn't want to read about me being banged by, like, Tinder randos and shit like that. So he hasn't read the whole book. And he doesn't want to read about me, like, shooting up in my jugular and shit like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, but my mom has dementia. So that's, I'm in charge of all of her stuff now. So she's sort of, that's kind of sad, but that's life. And I'm really lucky that I'm sober and able to show up for it. Because I was like, I don't know, I think that the universe gives you exactly what you need. Like, I've always been like, I don't want to do my taxes and I don't want to take care of myself. Yay, you know? And it was like, universe like, really, bitch? Here, you get to do now all your mom's financials too. And I was like, oh, shit, you know?
It's funny how that happens.
So,
Here you go. Give you some shit to do that you never thought you would do in your entire life.
Yeah, now I'm completely responsible for all my mom's financial shit.
You're responsible.
I know.
Check you out.
I know.
Look
It's
at that.
so weird. Totally become.
I've
become exactly the person that I've always made fun of. You know,
Really?
like, I work out every day and like all. You know, it's like I'm not vegan yet, thank God. But like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Those people that are like, I used to smoke meth and now I'm vegan. You're like, what? You know, so it's like I haven't gone that fucking far, you know. But
all right, we just got the time call here. Let's you want to take a couple questions before we wrap this up?
I feel like I got the short end of the stick here. Or did I just do like riffing and too much riffing?
No, you did fucking amazing. Amy did amazing, right? I mean, come on, like that was fucking legit right there. The time, it's funny how
I feel like I talked enough about recovery. No one gives a fuck. Everyone's like, we know how to recover, bitch. We're here, right?
No, it was that. I mean, I think it's a good, well-rounded kind. Just shut the fuck up, Shane. So, any questions? What do we got? Questions out there? Anybody?
Come on, guys.
Come on,
let's
get a couple questions in before we wrap this up. Joseph.
Oof. God, you and everyone else is asking me that. I'm actually writing a piece for The Fix about fitness. Because now I'm into working out because I'm geeky. And it gives you a fucking high. Like, I'm looking to get high.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I'm fucking 49 years old. Shit's dropping. I was like, what's that hitting my knees? I'm like, oh, that's my ass. Okay, that's like fucking time to work out, you know? I started the second book. And, you know, I'm hoping to be writing on my TV series in the next year. So that's sort of, you know.
I want to give a little shout out to Joseph too. I don't remember what episode number it is, but Joseph over there has been on the podcast before. He's the first book, Straight Pepper Diet. He's got an amazing story.
Amazing.
So it's insane. So thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, it was really nice to see you. I was in my car freaking out. He walked by and he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh my God, you keep me support. That's so cool."
Yeah. Any other questions, anyone? We got two. Okay, go ahead first, right there.
I am. I brought books like a fucking Garmento
There it
Jew.
is.
Like, I got my book. You want my book? I sell my book. I sign it for you. I will sell them. I ended up buying them from my publisher, but I will sell them for what they cost on Amazon. So, I'm actually taking like a hit. But yeah, I got hardcovers and I've got soft covers.
Another question? There you go, sir.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Damn, that
Is
could
that
go
you,
for-
Matt? You fucking piece of shit. Really? Wow. I think that you can get sober anywhere and you can get loaded anywhere. And that's been my experience. So I relapsed in most rehabs, or when I got out of most rehabs. I know people have gotten sober in jail. I know a lot of people have overdosed in rehab. And so I think it's a matter of timing and you wanting it.
Yeah.
I don't know that they taught me anything in rehab. I mean, you know, you do the groups and, you know, art therapy and whatever. It's like, you know, yoga and, you know, all these process groups and whatever, you know, and a lot of meetings. But I kind of got sober in the rooms, you know, which is like.
By showing up, right?
So,
Just showing up.
You know, well, yeah, I mean, you know, for me, though, when I'm using, I have to be contained to stop. Whether it's a psych ward or a hospital or a rehab, you need to hold me and contain me for at least a week to get me to stop, and then I can, you know, I was in sober living for 2.5 years.
Yeah. Like straitjacket hold you, like that kind of fucking.
No, I've never
shit?
been in a straitjacket. Incredibly,
okay.
Isn't that incredible? I know, I'm so fucking psycho. You'd think I would, you know, like look at my new like Comme des Garçons jacket with all the buckles, you guys. No, I've never been in a straitjacket. I'm usually pretty obedient once I fucking in somewhere. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions, anybody? All right. Well, we appreciate you guys. Amy, I love you. I appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you so much for supporting.
Man.
Give it up for Amy Dresner, everybody. All right. All right, guys, that wraps it up for tonight. And, you know, these podcasts come out every Friday. We put some random ones out during the week as well. You can find it on iTunes. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it at thatsoberguy.com. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming out and supporting tonight. And you guys have a safe night and be well. Love you.